CollectAWrestlePalooza. CollectAWrestlePalooza.
What's up, hobby enthusiasts, wrestling card collectors, sports card collectors, pop culture nuts, whatever you're into, you found a channel for it. This is Tom from CollectAWrestlePalooza. Today's video I'm going to be opening up 4 packages. They're all marked media mail, so I'm guessing they're all sealed VHS. I want to tell you why I'm targeting VHS. Somewhat a throw a dart at the board, I'll be honest. I don't know why VHS might gain value, but I just have a feeling that it will. And the reason I think so is IGS and Beckett have started to grade VHS. They're also grading sealed audio cassettes right now, so I see a future in that, but I like VHS due to the nostalgia factor. There was a time in this country and around the world when you'd go to Blockbuster or go to independent home video rental places and you would see these objects in front of you that held the potential to play a movie in your home. It was really the first time outside of Betamax and reel-to-reel and other types of things and laser discs that never really caught on, that you could go home and watch pop culture. So I like that. I like that the object is encapsulated with that memory and with that nostalgia. And particularly VHS, because the size of the box, the cover art, I feel like it lends itself to collectability. Now I'm focusing on sealed VHS due to the reason that if you were to buy a VHS for your home, you weren't thinking about it as a collectible, so 9 times out of 10 you'd open it up because it had utility. Action figures, I suppose sometimes you'd leave them in the drawer and never get to opening them. Sports cards, of course, are made to be collectible, so I feel like the collectability of that is more based around people that held onto the objects in a sealed form. VHS, when those came out, no one was thinking about collecting them or their future collectability. So I feel that sealed VHS is more rare than folks think. Outside of the mass-produced stuff in the 90s and the 2000s, I like to target sealed VHS that was made before 1990 or in the early 1990s if I can find it. One good way to gauge how rare an item is simply go on eBay. See how many people are selling it. You're going to find a lot of wrestling videos that look to be really cool, great images. It's fine if you want to collect those, spend $5 to $10 to buy a Rock or Undertaker VHS because it's got a cool picture of them on the front. That's great, but note that there may be 20 to 25 people selling that same copy. And that just gives me pause because that's not rare. That's objects that are going to be passed back and forth at this point. There's always going to be liquidity in that market, so you can't really command the price that you want. Sealed copies that you can only find 1 on eBay or maybe 2. Those are the ones to go after. So that's my gauge, that's how I buy, and again I say it's a dart on the board because I have no other reason to think that these could go up in value outside of right now. I feel like it's a low risk to buy sealed VHS for $20 to $40, thinking that maybe sometime in the future I might get $50 to $75 or even $100 or more for the same copy. If they're in great condition, I might be able to get them graded with IGS and sell them for even more than that. So let's get into the opening. We're going to start right at the top here. As with all of these openings, I have no idea what's in the package until I start opening it. I let them sit on my bench for sometimes months at a time, and I even forget that I purchased it by the time I open it. It makes it like Christmas for me. Okay, this is not a sealed VHS, but it's one that I don't see come up too often, and in my opinion, this is the one to own of the WrestleManias. It's WrestleMania 6, which is the ultimate challenge. There's a few reasons that I like this video. This one is in not great condition, but I don't think any of them are. And if you're able to find a sealed version of this, I think that that's one to definitely pick up, and you're probably going to spend a pretty penny for it. The reason I like WrestleMania 6 is it is the first time that WWF did champion versus champion, and it featured 2 of the most iconic wrestlers of that era and of all time. Hulk Hogan against Ultimate Warrior. The other reason I really like this as a collectible is it's the Coliseum big box. They actually had some airspace in the packaging. You can see it right here. So all of these boxes are crushed or damaged because that airspace had nothing rigid inside of it to make it hold its structure. So if you can find these in good shape, I say pick them up. This is something you don't see come up too often. You can buy them at a great price, and I think that they're going to potentially gain some value into the future. And if they don't, what an amazing cover. Ultimate Warrior Hulk Hogan, belt for belt. All right, moving on to package number 2. Okay, so this one was a box inside of an envelope. That's really nice. What a great way to package a VHS to make sure that it doesn't get any further damage in shipping. And this one is a Troma video, I believe. Yes, Troma. It is called Sucker the Vampire. There's a few things I liked about this one. First, the condition, immaculate condition. Second is it's a Troma release. Troma does have a cult following. They are the makers of the Toxic the Avenger, or is it Toxic Crusader? I forget. One of them was the cartoon, one of them was the movie, but Toxic Avenger with Toxie, that's a cult classic in the horror genre. They have a lot of other tongue-in-cheek and comedy horror classics and some B-movie grindhouse style stuff that they release. I've never heard of this video, but it is a Troma release. The other thing I liked was this MSRP sticker on the front, $59.98. This comes from an era when it cost $60 to buy a sealed VHS off the shelf. And the third thing is it looked like it was in immaculate condition. And then finally, it's a screener. So on the back there in the UPC, you can say screener, not for purchase, not for sale, for screening purposes only, and pretty cool cover art. So I just thought this was a gamble, one to buy. Got it for a good price, and we'll see. Moving on to the third package here. And this one is another copy of WrestleMania 3. Folks that watch my channel know that I've been buying WrestleMania 1, 2, 3, and 4. They can't find them sealed. They're way too expensive sealed if they even ever come up. But I think that this is just a cassette to own into the future. There's such nostalgia and such relevance for those events in the history of not only VHS, but also wrestling in general. And again, folks that went to video rental places, these were just staple cassettes to find on the shelf. So I feel like the nostalgia value is there. When I'm evaluating whether to purchase the copy, I look at a few things, but primarily I look at this plastic on the clamshell, and I look at the image on the wraparound sheet here underneath the plastic. Is the plastic tight and is it crisp? And in this case, I found it to be both tight and crisp. A lot of times, I think, especially after you clean these or if you expose them to hot water or cold water or other environmental factors, they get a wave on them, and I don't like that. I like ones that have original packaging that's crisp, and then this plastic around here sometimes gets cracked or distressed. Again, this one was in really nice condition with all of those factors. It is an X-Rental, I believe. It says A&H Video on the side. I don't know if that's the rental sticker. And then the final thing to look for in these is the stickers on the cassettes themselves. This one had an amazing sticker on the front, and then more importantly, is the sticker on the side. A lot of times you're going to buy a cassette and this side sticker is either going to not be there or it's going to be in crummy condition. And I think that's because that's what you would handle or that's what you'd push against the VCR as it's coming in and out. And I feel like the adhesive on these stickers too was often not as strong. So a lot of times they would just peel away into the future. And it's easy to buy a cassette without a sticker thinking that it's complete without realizing that the sticker has to be in there. Looking at the tape is perfect. Everything looks really, really good about this copy. So I'm very happy with it. And WrestleMania 3, of course, has arguably the most important match in WWF and wrestling history when Hulk Hogan slammed Andre the Giant. Moving on to the final cassette. This is Pride FC Championships, New Blood. I bought this one because it was almost nothing. It cost me almost nothing to purchase it. So it doesn't feature the greatest of fighters. It does have Vitor Belfort, which is very nice. It has a few other bigger names. Let's see, Gary Goodrich, Carlos Newton, Heath Herring, the Wild Horse, Vernon, Tiger White. So a few, it's got Igor Vorchinchin too. It's got a few of the bigger names in early MMA, but by this time, Pride I don't think was as big as it was in the early days. when there was Wanderlei Silva and, you know, some of the other greats. But I love the Pride cover art. I feel like it's an important organization in the foundation of mixed martial arts, and I don't see these VHS come up too often, particularly sealed. So I think that there could be a market for them in the future. If I find them at a great price, I gobble them up. So that does it for this week. I hope you enjoyed watching me open those VHS and also my thoughts on the hobby in general. Please feel free to leave comments. I love to hear what you're thinking, and also it helps to inform me for content into the future. Have a great holiday. Have a great week. This is CollectAWrestlePalooza. Be well.
CollectAWrestlePalooza. CollectAWrestlePalooza.